Hello all, I'm back. Today I'm going to use this sharpening stone kit that I bought, combo stone kit, to sharpen a stainless steel Ralph Aust 5/8 French point razor. This particular one has beautiful horn scales. And we're going to do it entirely on this set. And before I get going too far, I want to thank all of those who are actually watching these videos and commenting on them. I have a surprising mix. I didn't expect anybody who had much experience in sharpening or honing to pay attention or even want to watch any of my videos, but I have quite a few people who have considerable experience. Certainly, they're not learning much from me, but I certainly enjoy the discussion. And then I do have those who are finding their way in sharpening and in honing. And I certainly appreciate your watching these, and feel free to ask questions. And I have no problem with people with experience besides me answering some of those questions. Now, before I get started, I'm going to use the flattening plate to get the glaze off of the finish of these stones. The greenish stone here is the 10,000, and then this is the 5,000. Now they have not been dressed, so I'm going to use the flattening stone to dress those, and I'm going to do that off camera, and so I'll be right back to start in with the sharpening procedure after that. Okay, the stones, the stone surfaces that haven't been used have been flattened and the glaze taken away. I should mention that I did a knife tutorial using these stones, and the stones are comprised of a 2,000, 400, 2,000, 5,000, and 10,000. These stones are made by Naniwa, and they are Naniwa's advanced stones, which is the new name for what used to be called the super stones. These stones are, even though I did a knife tutorial, knife sharpening tutorial with them, these stones are really not aggressive cutters, and they're far better suited to sharpening razors than they are to sharpening knives. Again, the choice of this was really targeted at the person just starting out with razor honing, wanting to get something that was of decent quality, not too pricey to start, and sort of get them going. After a while, if you start to like and enjoy sharpening and honing, you're going to want to try some different things. But I feel that because these are sharp, these are splash and go, and because they're made by a well-respected name in the Waterstone manufacturing industry, that you know, these are a good place to start. Before I get started, I'm going to go over very briefly what I've covered in my sharpening fundamentals video, because again, this video will be targeted at those who are just starting out. So there are a variety of ways to hone, there are a variety of methods of honing, but we all have the same goal in mind, and that goal is to narrow the bevel on each side of the razor so that it forms an apex that is sharp enough to shave with. Now that edge is formed by two bevels, one on each side, and where the bevels come together is the apex. And in forming that apex, we use stones of increasing abrasive fineness. And by doing that, we minimize the time we spend on the stones, and we use the increasing fineness to do the same abrasive technique at the edge, but to simply narrow it at the apex. My method, very briefly, has just a few components to it. Those components start with assessment, an inspection of the razor, how it lies on a flat surface. This one lies flat. I should show that to you better, but I'm asking you to take my word for it. You want to check for flatness on both sides, and I have checked this razor. Then you also want to inspect spine wear and edge wear to see if there are any anomalies there. You also want to inspect the apex to see if there are any chips or dents or anything. And so that's the first step, is to figure out, well, what's the condition of the razor, and then once you know that, you know what you're going to have to do in order to get to the basic sharpening sequence that we're going to do with this razor. This razor doesn't have issues, so I'm gonna jump to the basic sharpening, and I have other videos where I do take care of both chips or indents into the edge, and also using different pressure to sort of regrind the edge so that it's straight underneath the spine. And that is the goal. You want the edge to be a smooth shape. You want it to be sharp, a smooth, even shape that's directly under the spine. Again, so getting back to the components, we just discussed assessment. I use only, I recommend when you're starting to do only 3 simple strokes: the half stroke, the half stroke, the alternating stroke, and then the X stroke for blending any work at the edge, and also for deburring. Then the key elements of the method are to use sharpness testing. I use the packing peanut. Use sharpness testing to tell you, to gauge the rate of abrasion on any stone, and to gauge whether there's any more value in staying on a stone. So you only need to stay on a stone to the point where it gets the razor as sharp as it can get. If it's as sharp as it can get on that stone, you can move on to the next stone, and then continue to refine that apex. So I use the in this case the packing peanut for that purpose, and then other things are to observe how the slurry flows on the and I do recommend slurry until the very last stages, but observe how the slurry flows across the razor, and so that shows you the contact with the edge on the stone, and if you have equal flow on each side, it tells you that the apex is meeting the stone in the same way on each side, which is an indicator that the apex is straight and directly underneath the spine. So you don't need to worry about doing equal work on each side, so long as before you finish you can observe that the flow of slurry on the edge is the same. And then finally, feel. the last thing is just feel. And it's helpful to use feel as a gauge. Generally speaking, you can use feel to tell you if there's some sort of an anomaly or chip on the stone, and you can use feel to as you get better and better to tell you how the edge is doing on the stone. And so let's start with feel before I really get into it. To develop feel, you want to use your fingertips. Most people who have good feel have it because they've used their hands with tools and have had to work in situations where their hands kind of have to see for them. And the way that's done is through really getting an idea through your fingertips of what's going on. So if you use the one-handed method, I advise that you hold the razor with enough pressure that you're not overpowering with a grip, enough pressure that you can feel feedback coming back into your fingers, and just pay attention to that as you sharpen. And if you do that, you will develop, I believe, you'll develop feel. I think there are really very few people who don't have a pretty good sense of feel. So enough of that. Let's get going. I'm going to pause for another second, clear my throat a little bit, and then I'll be right back. Okay, first thing we want to do, I've done the assessment in the sense of lying flat and noting that the wear is even on this razor, but we need to check the sharpness to guess where to start on the stones. And so I'm bringing the razor up to the packing peanut and pushing. I'm not breaking the surface, and that's what I'm only worried about the skin. So I'm not breaking the skin, and I'm checking the entire edge. So the first place I'm going to start, since these stones are not aggressive, the first place I'm going to start with the super stones is with this 2K that I have facing up here. So let's raise a little slurry. And let's dig in. I'm going to do exactly what I talked about in terms of strokes. Half strokes, roughly even work on each side. I'm going to keep, as much as possible, the entire edge on the stone. I use two hands. You don't need to. You can do this one-handed if you wish. The only thing you have to do is to keep even pressure on both the spine and the edge. And in terms of the amount of torque into the stone, you want to come down and not try to bend, come down to where you're not really putting any force, but you can feel, again, this gets back to the feel. You can feel that you're holding the edge against the stone throughout the entire travel during each stroke. And I recommend now you can adjust, and you'll see other sharpeners adjust pressure a lot. I do it too, especially at these lower grits. But when you're starting out, start with just that one level and let the abrasive do the work. It'll mean you spend a little bit more time on the stone, but that doesn't really matter when you're starting. When you're starting, you want to simplify. And the only thing that more pressure gives you is faster abrasion. And the detriment is that if you over torque, you can actually turn the edge into the stone, and generally speaking, that'll be that you don't turn it into the stone evenly. So you kind of work against yourself with too much pressure. All right, let's put a little bit more water on the stone. Yeah, these are slow. These are slow stones. So this is, again, the 2K. If I was using my, I would probably just have started on the 4K Shapton glass stone. But, you know, this is an abrasive. I purposely chose it for someone who's just starting out because you want to do a lot of strokes. You want to get familiar. You would like progression to be slow because you want to get familiar with whatever process. If you use mine, fine, but if you choose to use somebody else's, that's fine too. Either way, it's helpful to effectively have a system that forces you to practice. As I said, if you get the bug for doing this, and many people do, then you'll want to start trying other things. Okay, so now I'm watching how the slurry comes up over the edge. I'm making sure that it's coming up over the edge equally on each side of the razor to tell me that I'm doing equal work. I think I am, so let's do a test. Oops, got to dry off the razor. Now my habit is to always dry the razor before I test. Whatever you do, just make sure you do it consistently. Well, we're still not making progress. So let's go back. I'm tempted to cut away. I'm going to do just a little more here, and I am, in the interest of time, I'm going to use a little bit more pressure. I'm going to do what I suggested you don't do. But that's just so that we can get going here. I'm doing the third stroke, so I was doing half strokes. I haven't done really alternating strokes yet. I'm not too concerned about refinement on this stone, but if I were, these would be the alternating strokes. I think the way things are flowing is pretty good. So let's go test again. See if I've made any progress. Yep. Okay, so that did what we needed it to do. Let's move on. I'm going to pause here for just a sec so that I can get things set up. Okay, this is the 5K side of the combo stone. The other side is the 10K. I don't actually recommend that you get the 5K. This is the most expensive combo stone. There's a 5K and 8K that is significantly less expensive. I bought this one because I was curious as to how good the 10K is. And also, at some point, I'm going to give this set away because I do not need more stones. And I think it would be kind of a nice treat for somebody to have a combo stone set that ends at 10K. But for reasonable budget purposes, I'd recommend the 5K and 8K, and then making yourself a denim strop that's roughly 1 meter or 3 feet long, about 75 centimeters, 3 inches wide, and then load it with the green chromium oxide crayon that you can get online, and then just strop as your final step. Strop on that prior to stropping on your leather strop. Okay, so we've got slurry on the 5K here. Let's get going. Try to, now we're refining that edge. As the stone's abrasive gets finer, your feel on the stone gets better. And so this is where, you know, that light touch and paying attention to what your hands are telling you. That kind of information is starts to be helpful at this stage. What you're feeling for is contact of the edge with the stone. You'll be able to feel how much the edge is. You can feel a little bit how the edge is narrowing. The other way, of course, is to do what I'm doing here. Pay attention to the way the slurry flows. I'm going to do the alternating strokes. Another thing about strokes, if possible, try to get the whole blade on the stone. You know, I advocate angling it for that reason. To be honest with you, that's really a knife sharpening thing. Angling allows me with a knife to get as much of the blade as I can on a stone, even though I'm going to still have to probably work it in sections. I've gone back to just the pressure needed to hold the edge against the stone. What I'm doing with my left hand is making sure that the pressure down into the blade is even, and so that I don't rely on my right hand to do the whole thing. Okay, this is looking good. Let's now pieces of the steps that I haven't talked about. I did talk about sharpness testing, but as a beginner, you should also be inspecting the scratch pattern. The scratch pattern will tell you the scratch pattern should be even from the top of the bevel. Here, let's see if it will actually focus. Yeah, from the top of the bevel all the way to the apex. When you look at it and you want to get a 25 or 50x loop, and you want to learn to use the loop where you put like a finger against the razor and run along so that they're hard to use, and so you want to come up with a way to scan along the razor and keep that bevel in focus. And when you do, what you want to see is a pattern that goes all the way to the apex, and that is even along this whole distance on both sides. And as you get better, you can sort of do less of that, because your feel is going to tell you how things are going. But when you're starting out, I recommend that, you know, do more than you need to. Do that for every step. Make sure you understand exactly that you're getting the right result. And if you're not, certainly ask me questions, but generally what that means is that you're not getting all the way to the edge. And that will happen if you happen to hone a razor like I am without tape. But if you get a razor off of eBay that was honed with tape, then your first efforts on the stones will not be getting to the edge. So, you know, you want to look at that. All right, let's test. I'm yabbering more than I thought I would. All right, that's pretty darn good. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, let's go on to the 10K. I'm going to pause again because, well, yeah, I did surface this. Okay, so we're just going to go. because these are combo stones, and because this stone was down, I'm cleaning the stone holder so that I don't pollute one abrasive with another. Oh, let's just be let's be kind to the composition here. Now I did flatten this stone, but apparently the ink for Nano Advance has gone deep into the brick. Now this is the final stone. So what I'll be doing is working with slurry at first and then without it as the final step. And I'm more focused on alternating strokes than on half strokes here, but there's nothing that prevents you from doing half strokes at this level of abrasion. Generally, you're doing half strokes to remove material more quickly, and then you're evening things out. More of that would be done on the coarser stone than on the fine stone, which is where we are. So I do need to. I need to put in a 10K scratch pattern, and I know that this stone is slow. So so I am doing the half strokes, but I am primarily, now at this point for me, I'm primarily concerned about the feel. How does it feel on this stone? How does the edge, does it really feel like it's locked into the stone if all I do is push? And I am feeling that. And as I said, you use your fingertips. You judge not too much torque, because too much torque gets in the way of feel. Too much pressure gets in the way of feel. So you know, try to concentrate on it all. Try to feel the edge as it moves along the stone, and generally a good indication at first is you'll feel the contact change, and the contact changing is an indication that the apex is getting smaller, and then at some point you stop feeling any change, and it's at that point that you might be done with that stone, at least in terms of your feel. Now, what I would recommend, or what I'm about to recommend that you do, is test when you think you've got a good edge. Test it, and then push it a little further to see if there was more in the stone than you thought. Okay, I'm gonna spin, put the lettering upside down so that I can use this side of the stone. I'm going to use just water, no slurry, and this is. There is a little bit, again, I don't want I want to make sure that the edge is against the stone, but I am primarily pushing against the stone now, and I want to see with the water that's on the surface, I want to see that water come up onto the edge evenly on both sides. That tells me that the edge is making good contact on both sides, and if the way that the water flows over the edge is the same, then I know that the edge is directly under the spine and a good smooth edge. And of course, I'll be doing a microscope photo to to show you how good or how bad my explanation is. Sorry, I'm sort of losing my voice for some reason, but hopefully it's coming through. Yeah, I mean that. So, you know, here you hear all of us with some experience. We tend to, at this stage, we tend to talk about how good it feels, and really what we're talking about is how good the edge feels as it moves along the surface of a fine, very fine, abrasive stone. And that might be, you know, that might be in Arkansas, that might be a caudicle. Generally at this stage is where the payoff is from a feel perspective. Okay, I better do a little bit of deburring. Okay, let's test. Oh, that's effortless. Effortless. That's really, really good. And it's the same pressure to break the skin. Same pressure to break the skin. Not quite the same. Oh, wait a minute. No, not quite as good on the toe here. So let's do a little work at the toe. And it shouldn't be a lot at this point. I mean, it was definitely breaking the skin, just a slight amount of difference. And so here you see me adapting, right? So I'm doing more work at the toe to narrow the apex here. And after I do this, I will have worked this section differently than the other sections. And so I now have to blend and deburr, but primarily the X stroke here is to blend. Okay. Back to testing. So again, using feel and feedback from testing to make adjustments. Okay, good, 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 excellent. Now excellent. All right, I'm going to pause, go take a look at this under the microscope and give you a picture of that, and then I'll be back. Okay, I just got back from the microscope. I took 3 pictures. Testing is good. The edge looks pretty good. Generally, with a new stone, you need to get, you know, down a little bit into the stone before it really gives you with a synthetic stone. You need to get down into beyond the very top layer for it to really give you the best performance that it's going to give you. But you know, certainly that's a very good looking edge. Now the trick, I'm just flattening. Now the thing to do is to see if there's any more in this stone for it to give. See if there's any sharpness that it's going to give us. So I should have a little bit of slurry on there. I guess I'll kick up a little more. And so now we're really just, this is experimenting, right? So we have a good edge. And we know that what used to be, we know the superstone, the Nanawa superstones were notably slow. And so, you know, maybe this stone has a little bit more refinement to give us. So I'm going to go back, do some passes with slurry, then without, and then test to see if I can determine any difference in sharpness. If there is, then okay, we learn that this stone, you can push this stone a little further. And then if not, then we know where, how far this stone can go in terms of sharpness. And so when you're learning, this is exactly what you want to do. You want to learn this way, using feedback from sharpness testing. You can learn how far you can go on each stone. Just doing alternating strokes because I'm really only concerned with tiny the tiny sliver of area that is the edge. It's already well refined, and so we're looking to only see if we can go just a little bit more with it. So we shouldn't need much. Generally, if you're doing your final finishing, you'll see me and others go slowly, and that is, again, that's about feel. I mean, I have another reason for doing this, to sort of protect the edge, but a common reason among us is that this is where you get the opportunity to feel how the edge is doing. More feedback if you go slowly. Okay, let's do a little deburring here. See, I get carried away. All right, but the feel. Okay, let's go, let's test. See if there's any difference. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'd say that was better. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna call that done. So I'm gonna strop it and take a picture of it and come back. Okay, I did 25 laps on fire hose linen, and then 50 laps on the Steerhide leather bench strop from Tony Miller. Just a brief note on stropping. Again, you want to get feedback through your fingers. You want to hold it so that you have these fingers provide torque in this direction, and when you spin on the spine, same fingers provide torque in the other direction. You don't, again, remember that you're working a tiny sliver of metal, and so you don't want to, you want to have some pressure, but you don't want to have too much. And if your strop is narrower than the razor, then you want to slide the razor across in that direction, slide it back across in the other direction. All right, so the microscope image shows an improvement in the edge. The edge is pretty even from heel to toe. I took a image of the center that I'm going to show to you. And I will show that and talk over it to tell you a little bit about the test shave off of the 10K sharpening kit that I put together. So again, thank you for staying with me. And again, feel free to ask questions, and I will see you in the next one. I'm back from the test shave, and I think I learned something today. If you look at this microscope photo, you'll see that the edge is extremely well formed. The little bit of irregularity that you see at the very apex is inconsequential at this magnification. That's in the 1 to 2 micron range, maybe 3 micron range for the very worst, the worst anomaly that you see. You can't, in my experience, I can't feel that, nor can anybody else. So I wouldn't worry about that. What's more important is the keenness of this edge. The microscope photo is taken with the optical axis looking down at the edge, so you really can't tell anything about sharpness from this picture. Anyway, what I learned was I got a terrific shave, and it was a shave that was extremely close, extremely comfortable, and one that was a little less sharp than I normally use with a synthetic edge. I tend to really push my synthetic edges because I like that feel. But the biggest complaint that I get is with synthetic edges is that they're too sharp. Not that they're harsh or uncomfortable, but that they're too sharp. And today's shave was a shave that was very comfortable, sharp enough to give me a BBS shave, and I'm a daily shaver. Yeah, sharp enough to give me a BBS shave comfortably, as quickly as normal. I didn't have to do any extra buffing or anything. And it was a different feeling. It was a feeling of being less sharp. So I think I learned something today. And what you can take away from this is that the little starter kit is certainly good enough to provide a very top quality shave. Anyway, thanks for staying with me, and I will see you in the next one.